Welcome to Ghost Education 101, where curiosity meets experience and the doors to the entire paranormal landscape are finally open. Hosted by Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier, this series is built for everyone who wants to understand the unexplained the right way. Whether you're just stepping into the unknown or you've been investigating for years, this is the place where you can sharpen your approach, deepen your understanding, and cut through the misconceptions that have overrun this field for far too long. Each episode walks you through the full spectrum of paranormal activity. Classic hauntings, intelligent spirits, cryptids, elemental beings, poltergeist phenomena, and the modern challenges investigators face today. We break it all down. The science, the method, and the mystery, without dumbing it down and without drifting into theatrics. Grounded in research, history, and real-world investigation, Ghost Education 101 is your classroom, your laboratory, and your gateway into the most compelling unexplained experiences on record. Learn, question, discover. Welcome to Ghost Education 101. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier.
Good evening, everyone,
Hello.
and welcome to this week's Ghost Ed. How's it going, Tiffany?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. So our guest today, it's been a while since we've seen him, but we had to bring him back again because he was so great last week. I couldn't let him go away. We have so many questions from last week we never got answered, but he has a great topic for us tonight, and I know you're looking forward to it.
I really am. I'm very fascinated and super excited to hear what he has to say.
So yeah, we're probably going to learn more from him than we teach anybody else.
That is true.
So I'm going to bring him on, and we are going to get started. Welcome back to the show, Brad. How's it going?
Pretty good. Wait a minute. Let's see if I can fit my head in this screen here. Y'all making me, my ego expanded.
I know. I love everybody we bring on the show, but I do have some favorites, and you do fit in that category of one of my favorites. So it's always great to have you back on the show.
I totally appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, how are you guys?
Good, good. You?
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there?
We have no ice. There's no ice out here.
I know.
No
Perfect.
ice.
I was going to ask. Yes.
And are the temperatures warming up? I know here we hit the 80s today.
Oh, wow. No, we hit 65 today, and that was about it. It's
Okay.
raining
Yeah,
now, so.
That was us. We were in the high 60s today. So it's
So
very
warmer
humid, but
weather's
it hasn't
coming
rained.
your
Yeah.
So Brad, what do you bring for us today?
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about some physics and the paranormal, a particular area of physics, and sorry to break everybody's hearts out there, but it's not quantum physics I'm going to talk about. It's Einsteinian physics, and that's something that is near and dear to my heart. I really, 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 really got into physics, believe it or not, when I was in college. I hated school, but for some reason I liked physics. And so this was like, even though I'm a chemist, it was a natural for me to try to go down this route once we started gathering some data. Now, before I start talking about this stuff, I wanted you guys to realize, I want everybody out there to realize that we have, 3.5 terabytes of numerical data in tables. It's a lot. So we actually did a holistic, big data analysis of that, trying to figure out what anomaly, what might cause some of these anomalies. And according to that analysis that we did, the person that did it for us actually said that there could be 100 different causes for these anomalies out there, and several of them could be happening at once. Well, that was like a gut punch, because that's going to be really hard for us to identify, to figure out what causation is. So it was like, well, wait a minute, we're just going to have to tackle this. It's like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. And so that's what we're going to do. So that's kind of how we're handling it. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is, like I said, this is just Einsteinian physics I'm going to talk about. This is not quantum physics in any way, shape, or form. Now, quantum physics could play into this, and but that's not something we're looking at, because for us, the equipment that we're able to come up with and the experiments that we're able to run with the skill sets that we have allows us to do Einsteinian physics with not a whole lot of effort.
Okay.
In regards to quantum physics, we got to come up with a whole different experimental design and what have you, and that's troublesome. That's going to be hard to do. So we're going to take this the easy way first, and then we might end up moving into the quantum physics side of it later, as long as we can get a grant to allow us to buy some of the we need a grant. We need a particle collider and stuff like that. Is CERN for sale? I heard CERN was.
I know.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the kind of route that we're going. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a little bit of a presentation. And those of you who are on here may have seen this at DragonCon if you were at DragonCon. But I'm going to talk a little bit through this presentation, and maybe it'll help explain some of the stuff that I'm going to be referring to. So let me go ahead and do that.
Okay. And if anyone has any questions, post them in the chat. I'll
Yes,
save them.
please do.
And we'll get them at the end.
Yes, please do. Sorry, I just did this and now it's, all right.
There we go.
There it is. Okay.
Okay. Can you still see it?
Yep.
Okay. Like I say, it's Einsteinian physics. So we're going to look at physics and the paranormal. And by the way, we are a member of the TAPS family. And that's a cool group of people. And they put up with us. So yay, go TAPS family. Anyway, let me move on. So think about it. You're at a location, and all of a sudden the hair stands up on your arms. Then you hear a voice, and then a door slowly opens on its own. Now think about that for a minute. And all of this stuff could be explained by what I'm going to talk about. So, like I say, it's curiouser and curiouser, as some people in the movies have said. We've collected a lot of data during interactive events. And these are interactive events are events where something moves or something interacts with the environment. Whereas non-interactive is like you hear a voice off in the distance, or you might catch something out of the corner of your eye or something like that. But interactive is a whole different animal. And we collected data around interactive events, and we haven't been able to do that a lot because interactive events tend to be rare, like 1 in 100. So we've collected enough data, though, to point us in a certain direction. And it indicates that something odd may be occurring related to Einsteinian physics. We get spikes in ionizing radiation that I've talked about before. And ionizing radiation is the stuff that you're able to measure with a Geiger counter. And also you get electromagnetic pulses, or EMPs. Now think about it. The only thing, I had a discussion with a nuclear engineer from the Navy at DragonCon last year, and talked about the EMPs that we're picking up. He goes, that shouldn't be possible because typically you see an EMP with a nuclear detonation or something of that magnitude. Mm-hmm. And we are not necessarily seeing that. So just keep that in mind. And also we've seen possible lensing occurrences on video, which is real interesting. And I'm going to show you some of that here in a little bit. So this right here, I'm going to see if you can see my cursor or not. Mm-hmm. All right. You can see my cursor right here was an electromagnetic pulse that happened for no reason. We had other, and what's really cool about this one was that we had other magnetometers within a few feet of this one. However, they did not pick this up. Only this magnetometer did. The other magnetometers picked up this event and this event when we were around it with radios and stuff, but this was more local. It was localized. It was within like a 3-foot radius of the device. And that's the only thing it picked up. So that was interesting to us. The very first thing we noticed. Now, here's an example of a video we took. We've been seeing things like this appear in our infrared videos for a while.
Mhm.
And we did not sure what they were. They would just appear and then go away. Well, we thought it might be an artifact of the video, but then we went and blew this one up, and lo and behold, it's not really. It's also kind of illuminating the blanket behind it. And you see this, what looks like a dark circle around it? That in itself looks like lensing. And that's another thing that we started putting together with this electromagnetic pulse thing. So that was interesting to us too.
And Brad, can you explain what lensing is for anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah, lensing is it's a gravitational effect. If you have a really like a black hole,
Mhm.
or something like that, that has a real strong gravitational field, just like the sun, let's say, has a real strong gravitational field. Light that goes past it bends, and that's called a lensing effect. So that's what's interesting about that. Now, this right here, we were running a FLIR. That's a thermal imager, and that we were running a thermal imager in the same room, and lo and behold, look what it saw.
Oh.
It was hot, and you can see the pixelation around it because a thermal imager couldn't really focus on the dot as a whole, but it was hot. And the interesting thing is, this is only a still picture. The FLIR that we were using, because we were cheap, only took still pictures. So we took several in a row, and you can see this thing, this dot here, kind of grow and then go away around the same time that original video happened. And you can see the bedpost here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where we originally noticed spikes in radiation when these interactive events would happen. Ionizing radiation, counts per minute. And we noticed here, lo and behold, that happened. We got a spike in ionizing radiation. Now, this is big. Look how big that is above background. This is all background.
Yeah.
Look how big this is above background. So we started noticing that a long time ago, but this is the first time we were able to put this together with the video, the lensing, and the FLIR, and the electromagnetic pulse. This is the first time we've ever been able to do that. So now let's think about this. We started thinking about what could possibly cause all these four things to happen at the same time. And in doing a lot of research, we stumbled on the Einstein-Rosen bridge theory, or the the wormhole theory. A wormhole is an Einstein-Rosen bridge. It's kind of what they call them. And Einstein's theory of general relativity, everybody knows that, and it describes gravity as the curvature of space-time, and it's caused by mass and energy. Then Einstein and Rosen looked at solutions to the equations for general relativity, and it led to the concept of a wormhole, which is a hypothetical tube-like connection between two different regions of space-time.
Right.
So this is kind of a graphic example of that. You know, they say this is our end here, and this is the end at the other piece of space-time, and then you go right through the wormhole itself. I'm not going to get too heavily into all this nomenclature, but that's essentially what this is. Now, the theory that we came up with: could anomalies be caused by an Einstein-Rosen bridge? And this could explain some of the odd data collected, not all of it, not all the weirdness that we've seen out there, but it could explain some of it. And if one could open, you would like notice environmental changes around if you were close enough to it. And we started thinking too, is just the act of opening the Einstein-Rosen bridge cause the environmental conditions that interact with the environment, like object movement. Because there's another thing that comes along with an Einstein-Rosen bridge, and that's a change in gravity, a significant change in gravity. And that could make, if one of those were to open close enough to let's say a chair or something like that, it might cause it to move an inch or two. And then, some of us came up with the idea, maybe something's coming through or reaching through upon opening. I don't know about that, but that's just a theory. That's one of the theories that's out there. And could some of the things we've seen be because we can see to the other end of that wormhole? That's the kind of stuff that we're looking at. So those are the theories that we're looking at. Now, what to expect? Just remember, these things are only predicted and they haven't been measured yet by physicists. Predicted wormholes will be very small. You're talking microscopic, but their event horizon would be about the size of the dot that we saw in that video. Primordial wormholes may exist already. That's according to the theory. In our environment, we should see things like electromagnetic pulse, a magnetic field change, which we've also picked up. We've seen the lensing that I've talked about before. You should be able to see gravity changes. And then you should see a spike in radiation as the thing opens or closes. And that right there, all those things we've seen except for the gravity change. And a gravity change is very difficult to measure. And we're still trying to figure that out. And I think that would be the clincher for all this, is if we can detect a gravity change. So now, is this related? We've already talked about in the past about how the GOES satellite, that's the NOAA satellite that sits about 24,000 miles out, that measures different things on the Earth for weather. And one of the things it measures is the Earth's magnetic field. And you notice that here the magnetic field goes up and down over time. And we found out that most reports of what people might consider paranormal activity occur on the downward slope of this. And if it's a really steep downward slope, like this guy here, or this one here, that the reported intensity of the event is higher. So is this related to the same thing, though? We don't know, but that's something to think about, because this is the Earth's magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's other possible environmental changes. The temperature spikes are cold spots, like you feel a cold spot near you. When an Einstein-Rosen bridge opens, there's a negative temperature that occurs instantaneously. So that could account for cold spots. Who knows? Or, there's temperature spikes. That's the heat. Some people feel like a hot touch or something like that. Also, there's humidity changes. Let's just think, if you're standing in a room that's very cold and dry, and it's very hot and humid outside, and you open that door, you're going to feel that hot humidity come through. And we've actually measured these humidity changes. And then barometric pressure changes, the same thing. If one of these things open and it's in a barometric pressure as such as one is like 1,000 millibars on I don't know, out around Pluto, and this thing opens up and the pressure here is lower, then you're going to see a pressure change here. Excuse me, I'm suffering from a cold still. Also, there could be physiological effects, and these could happen due to changes in gravity, changes in magnetic field. All these things can create things like headaches, dizziness, and stuff like that for people that are sensitive to that kind of thing. And then, of course, you might see time dilation or changes, and time in the vicinity of the bridge or the event horizon will be different than away from it. If you've ever seen the movie Interstellar, you understand what we're talking about here. It's where, it's you think it's like the time is going at a normal rate when you're near the black hole, but here it's going much faster. So that kind of stuff are some of the things that we need to look at. And we have seen time dilation and changes in the data that we've collected over time. We just don't have enough of it yet to be statistically significant, but we have seen it. So our experimental design, we were to look for EMPs in the magnetometer data, look for radiation spikes, Z-score of 3 or higher above the background. Any other environmental changes, we look for those too. And we use a FLIR to look for anomalous spherical areas, cold or hot now, all the time. We look for lensing or shifting of visual data. And I want to mention something about that too. Beyond the lensing that we've seen, we've also had a laser grid that was on a door that we'd seen open before. And we had the laser grid on the door just so that we could see if the door would open in the dark, kind of thing. And excuse me, lo and behold, one dot on the laser grid shifted about 3 inches to the left and went right back again. That's the kind of stuff that we're looking for. We need to look for changes in gravity. We need to check for the possible time dilation or changes. And then we need to correlate everything. That's the plan. So, in conclusion, the Einstein-Rosen bridge or wormhole theory would explain much of the odd data that's collected. Not all of it. It might explain about 7 or 8 things. But much more data needs to be collected, though. And, of course, Skinwalker Ranch, if you've ever watched that show, they've collected a lot of the same data we're collecting. A lot of the same stuff. Now, don't get me started about quantum physics, because I'm not going to go there on this one. But that's all something that we're going to look at in the future. And that's how you contact me. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So
I can see Tiffany has a ton of questions.
I don't want to answer any questions.
I didn't, because I wasn't sure what he was going to give us, so I don't have anything prepared, but my brain is like,
right. The one question I do have, and then I know Anton posted several, is how do you guys calculate for gravity changes?
Yeah,
that's something that's like I said, we don't know how to, we haven't come up with a good way to measure that yet. A gravity change, is a change in the amount of almost like the amount of force from where you might drop something from here to here. And being able to measure that right at one of these things is darn near impossible.
Right.
If we see something on a FLIR, your phone is completely capable of measuring gravity change. It has a sensor that does that. We can't get it close enough to it though, because as we move it, the sensor data changes as we're moving it. So we would have to have it static and accidentally have one of those things open up right here. So that's something that's difficult, and that's why we're going to have to spend a little bit more time on it. But if we could measure that would be the clincher.
Yeah.
We got all the other stuff.
When you brought that up and I saw the gravity on there, the only thing that I envisioned, and I know this is completely off topic, is you guys creating some sort of dolly and putting Alan on a scale and rolling him around the place to see if it changes his weight as it goes.
Oh, excuse me. That's funny. Nobody would see that, but
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's very difficult for us to do that. I noticed he also asked about, let's see, could the view through the wormhole be a view into another dimension? Who knows where that goes? We have no idea. The only way we know is if we could enter through it. Now, we did a dumb thing at a location, and us being boys.
All for science.
Yeah, all for science. That's right. But us being boys, we found what felt like a spherical hotspot in the middle of a room. We walked into it, and it's like, whoa, that's warm right there. And then we felt around it and noticed it was about this big. and it was right in the middle of a room. Now, we don't know why that was there like that. And if you look at it on the FLIR, it shows, right?
Okay.
So we stuck our hand in it. And
I would have done the same thing. So.
And after we did all that, we realized, oh no, maybe we shouldn't have done that. So we took a Geiger counter to see if our hands were irradiated or anything. They weren't. But and it turns out that we might have an explanation for that beyond Einstein-Rosenbridge. But still, we do things like that. And there's another question too about, do you look for static discharges? Not part of this experimental design. We have that's all part of a different experiment, but we're not there yet. Right. Static discharges could happen, but that's not part of the data we need to identify whether this is actually an Einstein-Rosenbridge or not. So, but yeah, it's those are good questions. Go ahead, throw some more at me. But we kind of started seeing this data when we started doing the big data analysis thing. It was like, whoa, we might have something here that's it's not necessarily spiritual in nature,
right?
But it might explain a few of the things. It may not explain everything, like death communication or any of that stuff, but it could explain some of the other things. Like we have one of our members, Aaron. He's our archaeologist. Actually, he's does archaeology for us too. And the guy was in a building, and he got touched with cold fingers. And we actually have a FLIR on him when this is happening, and you can see the cold things happening on his arm where he's being touched.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And we also have and it's like, well, maybe that doesn't have to be spiritual. That could be one of these things, popping up around and moving. Let's say. Around. So who knows? We just need to collect more data. I'm all about collecting data.
Yeah, I think it's so important because, you brought up one of the key words in this field, spiritual. And you have, on the one side, you have people who are, all about, okay, well, it has to do, of course it's religion, of course it's spiritual. But then you have other people who are, more like all of us, who are more about the scientific side. And I know Heather has her own spiritualism, and I do too, and I'm not sure about you, but most of us in the field, most of us believe in something, but we're also looking for the truth. That's always been my thing, is looking for the truth. So I think you guys have done such an amazing job in being able to collect all of this data. It is so important because it brings truth, and it validates that even if it's not a spirit, even if it's not like a so-called ghost, something is happening.
Oh yeah.
And my thing has always been, whenever I go into an investigation or whatever, I'm talking to people, and they're like, well, wait, really? Like, you hunt for ghosts? And it's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. When I go into a location, I'm not looking for what is haunting that location. I'm looking to see why these people think they are experiencing phenomena. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. And sometimes, yes, in my own theories and my own beliefs, I think they have valid reason to believe that there are spirits there. But what is causing all of that? What is connecting these two worlds and making it possible for us to experience that phenomena is what is so fascinating. And you guys are doing that. You are collecting that data, and you're making it public.
Well, yeah, the thing to remember is that, in the research that we're doing, we're starting to define certain characteristics of different types of what people call paranormal events, and however they perceive it. It's sometimes it's a perception thing, sometimes it's actual activity, but that there's, like I said, 100 different things or more. And we're only going down this rabbit hole with an Einstein-Rosenbridge thing is probably going to explain maybe 6 or 7 of them, if that comes to fruition. And then all the rest of them, though, who knows?
Right.
There might, and like I said last week, we got to follow the data because the data never lies.
Right.
And if you follow the data is going to lead you to the truth, one way or another. If it's goes down the spiritual path, that's the path we're going to go. If it goes down a non-spiritual path, that's a path we're going to go. And so, and I'm not trying to slam any religious belief or anything like that, because I was raised Church of Christ, and I believe in the Heavenly Father, and I believe in all that stuff, and I believe in that. That is something I'm looking at. If I pass on, I want to think that yes, I'm going to meet this supreme being. However, some of the stuff that people are experiencing may not be of that nature. Right. So, I'm with you on the spiritual side of things. I have my own spiritual beliefs, but I can't let that taint what we're doing. You can't do that, because if you go in with a preconceived notion, you've got confirmation bias, and then you're just out. You've not proven a thing.
Exactly. Well, let me throw this question at you. Has the data you've collected over the years, has that only strengthened your belief?
I've seen some things and experienced some things that I can't explain scientifically. I don't even have a theory for them. And in collecting the data, we've been into some into situations where some things have happened, and I can't explain it. So it's got my belief structure. Then when I'm sitting home and I'm drinking my green tea and I'm ruminating on what we just got finished doing, I start thinking about that very thing, and and I wonder, is that spiritual in nature? I mean, is that what we just experienced? Is that a spiritual event? So that's kind of what how I approach that, and all of us have our own way of approaching that in our organizations.
Yeah.
Heather, you're back.
She's muted.
Yeah, sorry. I had an issue with the car on the way to work today, and when my son and my husband went to church tonight, it got worse. So they were messaging me, and we were trying to figure out how I'm getting to work tomorrow, because I'm not going to take the car 30 minutes north,
right,
on empty roads alone, and B, how to get them home.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
So,
well, Tiffany and I have been plotting the end of the world. So
okay, that sounds normal.
Well,
I think she did that the last time I didn't show up to a show.
Well, I think if we can identify 6 or 7 things that this one theory can handle, and it might just be one of them that it can explain. But if we're able to do a small block of those, that's going to, believe it or not, that's going to help out the field 100-fold. We just got to be able to prove it. And we need to collect enough data to prove it. So, and we're following all standard protocols and data collection procedures and everything, the whole experimental design process, all of that. We're following all of that. And we're lucky that we have a board that, because we are a nonprofit, and let me put my Venmo thing up here. No, I'm joking. But we are a nonprofit, and 501c3 nonprofit, and we operate as if we are an academic institution. That's how we operate, and our board is structured as such. So, and they handle all the money. I don't. I just make suggestions as to what we need to buy, but they handle all the money, and they're very good at what they do. And Jack's on that board; he's our vice president. So, but yeah, that's how we operate. So that right there helps us. Keeps us honest in our experiments and such. And my job is to wrangle, because we have a lot of people out there with a lot of different theories in our organization, because there's almost 40 people in our organization, and they all have their own theories and stuff. So we're starting to work through that. We have somebody that's doing EEG work on her head, but we're having to come up with a institutional review board so that human subject type stuff like that, we got to be able to handle that, because people do this stuff all the time out there that don't operate properly, and they end up in trouble. And so we're not going to do that. We make sure we have the waivers, we have all the stuff, we have the IRB, we have everything, so that we're golden. So at that point, we're able. She does the EEG study on herself, and she's going through a location where activity occurs, and she's trying to make correlations between what she's reading with her EEG and activity that happens around her.
Mm-hmm. I am picturing Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Is that like?
It looks like it too, but
does it really?
But no, it's a compact EEG. It's something that you would see on an EMT use, but it's really neat, and I'm fascinated by this stuff. She's only been able to do it twice with us, so I'm fascinated with the stuff that she's run into already. So I want to see more of it, and she's going to be with us this weekend. So we're going to be collecting data at a location, and it's going to be it's a significant location. It's one where we've collected data all the time. It's actually Bacon's Castle in Surrey, Virginia, and that place has been like a laboratory for us, and they've been so good to us. They've allowed us to just collect data there. They've trained us on how to be docents in historical sites, and it's just phenomenal. That particular site is amazing. Let me put it that way. And you could just feel the history when you step foot onto the property.
Well, I just want to go and visit it now, because it just sounds fabulous.
You should. Everybody, all of you should go visit.
Yes, everybody. Bacon's Castle in Virginia.
It is just amazing. And, you got to think, it's got half of it was built in 1665.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the oldest brick home in the country.
Wow.
And the other half of it was built in 1854. There's what used to be an overseer's cottage, but now it's actually a cottage that they have moved. They've moved it twice on the property, I think. And once it was moved in 1854 when they built that other piece, but that one right there itself has its own historical significance. And it's only like a tenth of the size of that. The main mansion's over 9,000 square feet. So it's just huge. And then you've got they got to have a smokehouse. They have quarters for enslaved people behind there that are original from the early 1800s. And they have all kinds of things on the property. So as soon as you step on the property, it's like, holy cow, you're getting sucked back into time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. Do you guys ever?
I was going to say, then we get to collect data there.
That's awesome.
The win-win.
That's just fantastic. Do you guys have you guys ever consulted with and I'm just learning more about them, ions in California, Northern California?
No, I have not. But I'll have to look more into that, because to tell you the truth, I'm not familiar with that.
I'm just learning more about them, but they do some of the kind of experimental and deep research that you guys have been doing. They have like a huge facility, and the
Institute of Noetic Sciences.
Yes,
that's what that is. I don't know what
I'm sorry. I feel like everybody knows what ions is.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, I know that organization is. I want to try to present at their one of their events, but we haven't reached out to them yet. But that is in the cards.
Yeah.
And one question I do have, I know you guys were talking about it briefly when I stepped away, about spirituality and beliefs. And a lot of times you talk about how you start investigating or doing research on this one topic, but something, the data leads you another way. We've had that happen on so many investigations. Like I was telling you, the one that I talked to you about probably a couple of years ago now, we've tried to research that, but we keep getting taken down a different path with the data that we get. do you feel that sometimes that is maybe, I don't know, whatever we're communicating with or trying to find out information on, guiding the data to either steer you to or away something? Or could it be a spiritual overlooker guiding you towards the answers that you seek?
I have no idea. No idea. I just know
I
that
finally have a question you can't answer.
oh, I'm answering it. I'm just saying I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know is an answer.
There you
go. True.
I mean, in regards to that, I couldn't even say, because I have seen some things that make me think, but they aren't even related to the data we're collecting. So these are totally separate things at the locations where we're collecting the data, but they're separate from the data that we collected that make me think about that. You know, like I was telling Tiffany, you know, where I'm sitting at home drinking my green tea and, you know, ruminating on what we did during the day. Sometimes that stuff comes to mind,
right?
You know, because it is just, some of the stuff that I've seen is just beyond weird. And, and I'm not talking about some of the weird people we've seen too. You know, but it's like, you know, I some of the stuff I really can't go into because there's a confidentiality thing in there. But, you know, I've seen some stuff that makes me question, you know, why am I doing what I'm doing? And then it occurred to me that, well, because of this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I need to, I have an inherent desire to know what the heck is going on around me.
Exactly.
So, and I think that's human nature.
I think so too. And to piggyback off of Heather's question there, so you know how you hear some locations, let's just use a residence, for example. A family will move in and they're having just the worst time. They're experiencing a haunting that is just super traumatic for them. They decide to move. Another family moves in. They might experience a haunting, but it's nowhere near as severe as what the last family experienced. In fact, it seems to be more pleasant. Would the Einstein-Rosen bridge theory, with that, because we're talking about wormholes there, could one theory be that you're getting different entities, different spirits, different things coming through that location, and the other ones left because they just had some beef with that family for whatever reason and now they're gone, so you know they skedaddle, but something else or someone else comes through that same Einstein-Rosen bridge and is nice there? I mean,
everything you just
my
said,
brain is just
everything you just said is plausible. It's possible. I mean, I don't know for sure. The data doesn't point to any of that. We haven't had a whole lot of, you know, we collect data passively because, you know, when people go in and when, you know, there's, they try to do an EVP session. Well, now you're trying to prompt stuff, right? With questions, and you're now inserting confirmation bias in your experiment by doing that. So we don't do any of that. We're a passive data collection organization. So that's where we're going. And none of the data, like I said, none of the data we've collected has really pointed towards the direction that you're talking about. Okay. You know, I like I said, though, we only have, gosh, let's just say out of 100 reports of activity, maybe 4 or 5 are considered interactive. Excuse me. And that in itself is a small number, and that's not enough to be statistically significant either. So we got to have a lot more data, you know, to look at like that before we can make draw any kind of conclusion like what you're talking about. Come on, bring on those questions, Antoine. Or is it, just go ahead, dude.
He had his one question about the wormhole earlier, and then he said, "Do you look for static discharges?" I'm not sure if you guys covered that one or not.
Yeah, we answered that a little bit. He talked about how it's radiation-induced static charges. We don't look at that right now because that's an effect of the radiation spike would be a static discharge. That's one way you could do it, though. If you don't have a Geiger counter, look for the static discharge. Now, that's not going to tell you had a radiation situation, because you could just have a low humidity environment. You just scrape your foot across the floor. But if that's one way to do it, because that is an effect of a radiation spike like that.
I guess one question I have, I think we briefly talked about it last week, but in addition to your brainstorming sessions, where exactly do you guys get your inspiration to conduct the different experiments that you do? Do you just wake up one morning and be like, oh, hey, I'm going to test for radiation, or, oh, hey, I'm going to test for, for the...
Well, a lot of that stuff's accidental. And we started measuring radiation at locations because we started noticing a trend in over a period of time, like between 2010 and 2014, a trend in like paranormal investigators dying of cancer that's usually radiation induced. And we were worried that it was radon. So we said, well, we might want to measure down there. If we're in these basements all the time like that, we might want to measure this stuff. So we started doing that. And lo and behold, it wasn't high background radiation that we were running into. It was a spike. You're not going to get that with a radon measurement. That's going to be a high background constant.
Right.
It was a spike, and that caught us completely off guard. We had the one spike at Bacon's Castle, and I think we talked about that with Jack when that door opened. And but we had a radiation spike and an electromagnetic pulse, and that took out all the equipment on the site in front of that door and everything that opened on us. That was also accidental. We weren't looking for that there. We just happened to put equipment there because that door had opened on its own before, and we did not expect that to happen. So accidental. All the good things in science are accidents.
I was just going to say the things that will get your attention, like if you're having a night and really nothing's happening, you're not really looking for anything, and they just come straight out of the blue, and you're like, okay, well, let's go over here and check that out.
Yeah, because we didn't expect, we noticed that, because early on when I first joined the organization, they were trying to interact with people, with whatever was in the room. And, the one thing we noticed was that when we weren't doing that, we got way more vocal, like anomalous audio when we were just talking among ourselves. So at that point, it wasn't doing anybody any good to interact with anything. So we just went ahead and started, just being completely passive, and that allows us to get rid of most of the variables out there that we can control. I was looking at I don't know who that is. One eye.
This one right here?
Yeah. He said he used to feel like I was a sensitive, but now I feel skeptic about my own experiences. Not sure how to go about the investigations. Well, don't be too skeptical, because I'm only talking about something that might affect maybe 7 out of the 100 things that could be causing stuff. You can still have something that you're investigating that is spiritual in nature. You could have something that's another piece of physics, like quantum physics related, that we're not even looking at. It could be something really cool. If you think, I would go ahead and follow your gut. That's what I tell everybody. Follow your gut. If you feel that you're sensitive and you want to look more at these experiences, there's ways to test that. You just collect all the information, all the data around you. That's like taking notes, any of that stuff while you're doing your investigation, and you may be surprised at what you find. And it may totally prove that you're sensitive. Of course, it may not, but you have to be able to take that chance. But it's always following the scariest part is following the data. That's the scariest part. If you have a belief structure and you're following data, the two might diverge. So you have to be careful with that. There's always that chance, but then again, they could come together. You never know. There's a friend of mine named Tim Shaw, that is, he's a spiritualist, and he has some of the same ideas, but he looks at everything. He was one of his sayings. Let me see if I can get it right here. And Tim, don't yell at me on Facebook if I get this wrong. But he says things like, he's got a very spiritual belief structure, but you can test that belief structure. Test for that belief structure. Test for the belief structure is what he says. Something like that. And I agree with that. So I hope that answered the question there.
Yeah, don't second guess yourself. If you feel something, go with it. Like Brad was saying, trust your gut.
Yeah.
I shared this just a few weeks ago where I felt my shirt being grabbed at a recent investigation, and we caught it on camera. But we didn't know we caught it on camera until a couple weeks later. But when it was happening, I'm telling myself, no, that's not possible. Like that's not it, and lo and behold, it's right there on camera. So,
like Jack's quote, when that door opened, he goes, that can't be paranormal. It's like, well, what turned that doorknob, Jack? I hope Jack's watching, because I'm going to poke fun at him a whole time. Usually I pick on Alan, but now I'm going to pick on Jack.
I was going to say, if Jack, you're watching, send me a message and I'll get you a link to join us. Yeah. And the main reason why I did ask the question about where you guys come up with your experiments is the two main projects that we've worked on. I know I've talked to you, Brad, about one, and Tiffany, I've talked to you about the other one. Both came to me in a dream.
Oh, wow.
So the projects and the research that I'm doing, it's like I woke up and they are like one of the few dreams that were crystal clear when I woke up. And I can remember the experiments that I did in the dream.
Wow.
And then following those paths, the research is matching so far.
Well, there you go. That's great. I can't explain that. I tell you, that's
we would say it's your higher self. That's what
that's one of those creepy.
Spiritually, that's what we would say.
So even when I'm sleeping, it's working through theories while I'm even trying to sleep.
I dream about the beach and stuff like that. So, but yeah, some of the things that we come up with too are, they're happy accidents a lot of times, but sometimes, we're brainstorming and all of a sudden an idea will hit us and we run with it, and then we start working on the experimental design. And I got to say, experimental design can work if you're just an experiencer or an investigator or a researcher like we are. Any of that stuff, and experimental design works, because that way you can you can get evidence that you need, that you're looking for. You could get confirmation, or you could get pointed a direction away from where your belief structure is. But it still works regardless of what you're doing. So I highly recommend that for everybody.
Yeah. And I always tell even the people who are wanting to get just experiences, I tell them to still record, roll video, because if you're in it for the experience, you want to have that as, a backup that, hey, yes, I did experience this type of thing, even if you're not a full-fledged researcher.
And you got to be careful too, classifying something as fact when it's really only a theory. Yeah. And of course, a theory is a belief. But you can't classify it as fact. The only facts we know are in the data that we collect, and those are the facts. And then we could draw, create more theories, come up with a different hypothesis, that kind of thing. But that's still, the facts are in the data itself.
Yeah, and it's a never-ending loop, because the facts take you down another path, which then keep taking you on.
I was looking at this other comment here. Yeah. Highly recommend recording and using an audio enhancer for volume and noise reduction.
But not too much, because you don't want to distort what you might have, what you might have captured. So not too much. Yeah.
For our purposes, we don't use any kind of enhancement we always have the raw audio. And we always have the raw audio, and you got to keep the raw audio, because you don't want to manipulate that, because that right there is your core data.
Exactly.
You could conduct experiments on that and do things like what Carol was talking about, where you can add, do noise reduction and stuff like that to try to pull things out of it. But you got to keep that raw data. Don't ever mess with your raw data.
Yep.
Copy it and mess with it there. Don't mess with the raw, because the raw is the fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think almost every paranormal researcher has learned the hard way that once you download your data, you instantly make a copy right away, because if you get involved in listening to something and then you go to alter it real quick, it's like, oh crap, that was my original.
Yeah.
And Carol, we normally don't take recordings from third parties. I'm sorry. You can go ahead. You can send them if you want to. And but yeah, we typically don't do that, because we got to be able to confirm the environment they were taken in, all the conditions around them and things like that. And, I trust you that you got some really cool out of the air recordings, because we get those too. Yep. But right now, we also don't have the bandwidth to really sit down and listen to third party recordings and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of time. Yeah.
When we go like this coming weekend, we're going to have around 20 cameras running, and for about 8 hours each. And we do have an algorithm though that analyzes that stuff. The video, it actually finds anomalies for us in the video. It's pretty cool, and uses machine language and stuff. It's an amazing thing. And so we actually have that, which helps, but we still have to listen to the audio. It's very hard to come up with an algorithm that'll do the audio right now. The NSA probably has something, but we don't have access to that. So, and then we got to look at the numerical data too. I have found that I can do numerical data analysis and do statistical analysis on all these tables, and the AI does a good job at that. It does. Don't ask it to write poetry or anything like that for you, or write a paper for you, because it tends to sometimes they hallucinate, that kind of thing. But just doing data analysis, I've been able to go in and double check every single time, and it's been fine. That's awesome. That saves me some time too, but it still takes a lot of time.
It does.
Like we just did a preliminary analysis for a site we went to on January 17th, and just the preliminary analysis itself took until today.
Yeah.
And that's just the overview. We haven't even done the deep dive yet. So that's typical of how much time it takes to do stuff. So
yeah.
I'm not trying to hide from it, but
no, but if you're running 20 cameras, like that's just cameras. You have audio recorders laying around. You have other pieces of equipment that collect data, and they all have to be analyzed.
Right.
That's a lot of hours. That's almost like a second full-time job.
It is. And, I have a day job, and I have a second day job, which is being daddy Uber for my daughter.
Right.
But the trying to find time to do all this stuff is really, really a struggle.
It's hard. Yeah.
So
you have to have a real passion to do what we do, because we don't get paid.
No.
There's no money in this, guys. If you're looking to get rich, this is not the way to go. It's the same way.
The only people that really get paid to do this stuff are either university researchers, or they are like people from the Center for Inquiry, or from the IONS people, or those people tend to get paid for that, because their organization has a foundation that provides funding. Right. We have a budget, yes, but it's not that big.
Yeah.
So we get donations too, but it's not like that. What's the best or reasonable camera to get?
What you can afford.
It's anything that will capture anything that will capture video or still pics. It's always what we're trying to look at. We've noticed that clarity is super important. So things that are 4K, at least 1080p.
Yeah.
But things that are 4K are better, because the video that we're looking at now is that we've just got with we have a network video recorder, and we run everything with Ethernet, because that's another thing. A lot of people are running these wireless cameras, and
I don't do that.
yeah, you don't want to do that because
No.
you're introducing electromagnetic fields into the environment when you do that. So that's going to mess up any magnetometer you have, any kind of data you're going to read. So we do have we're running everything's 4K right now, and even the thermal imagers we're using are 4K, which is amazing to me. Those were some expensive cameras. Holy cow! But yeah, anything you can afford is going to be as clear as possible.
Yeah,
is what I recommend.
And just go to Amazon. The first night vision camera I bought was off of Amazon, and I caught disembodied footsteps with that one. So,
yeah,
and I think it was maybe a $50 camera. So, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on equipment. It's
true.
what you can afford. Get the best you possibly can within your price range, and you're going to be fine. I know people who have caught some really amazing things just off of their phone. As long as you're not using apps and you're just using the camera, the video, maybe the audio recorder on it, and that's it. Keep it super, super simple.
This camera does a fantastic job, and for a video and for still pictures, it just does. The thing that a lot of people think they need to buy all this expensive stuff. Like you said, you don't really need to.
You don't.
And I highly recommend too that you only buy the stuff that you only get equipment that you need for your experiment.
Yeah.
Don't just buy equipment to have equipment. No cat balls. Like 1,000 cat balls on the ground. You don't need that. If you're looking for something to move something, one will do. I've seen people bring a box of cat balls, turn them all on, and throw them all on the ground. And it's like, what good does that do you?
And also, if you guys are going to use the cat balls or spirit balls, whatever you want to call them, don't go off of the lights because the wind will make them light up.
Yeah.
Just look to see if they're actually moving. Please.
Yep.
That's one of my pet peeves. Would you do that?
There's other things you can ask for people to move too. You don't have to go buy something special. Like, I could get a piece of paper, wall it up in a ball and throw it on the ground. It's like, okay, can you move that?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So, I was looking at Carol's comment.
Yep.
Dr. Gary Schwartz of University of Virginia, along with computer staff, are designing the soul phone so you can call them. Interesting.
I hadn't heard that. And
I haven't heard that either.
And I was going to say, we talked about it on Ghosted once before.
The soul phone?
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. I couldn't really comment on it. I have a feeling, though, that there's going to be some AI involved in that. But it's just a guess on my part. But, I don't know much about it, so I really can't comment on it.
Yeah, we've tried to talk about it, but a lot of it's confidential.
Yeah, I know that that's kind of like transcommunication stuff, and I tend not to get involved. We tend not to deal with that because we can't, all the transcommunication mediums that are around. I'm not medium like sensitive person. I'm talking about like the different pieces of equipment and stuff that people use for communication. A lot of times that stuff is, well, let me put it this way. I'm of a lot of the stuff that I've witnessed personally has been misinterpretation. Now I did see something that was fascinating at the University of Virginia Library for the Division of Perceptual Studies, where there was a dissertation there where the person was writing computer code. This back in the 1970s at Stanford. They have the whole dissertation there, and there's one tiny part of it. I mean, this is like a stack of paper this high. And there's one tiny part of it where they kept getting the same anomaly over and over and over again and never figured out what it was in the binary code. And that's there as an example of possible transcommunication using a computer. And so, and then you also have the white noise thing going back, years, people hearing stuff in white noise. But I'm probably not the person to ask about the soul phone. I would, that whole thing, if they are working on something like that, they're going to have to publish. And when they publish, that's when it's going to come out. And so we'll see. I'm just not sure what it's about. The audio recording thing too. Whatever gets you the best quality audio, not like with the widest frequency response is what I'm talking about. Make sure you get audio with the widest frequency response in it, and that way you get all the tones from the lows to the highs, all of it, and so you don't miss any of it. And I'll tell you, one of the cheapest and one of the best recorders you could get out there, and Tascam is not paying me for this, is the DR05, Tascam DR05. Excuse me. And it has a really broad spectrum frequency response. Yeah, wave format. Exactly. That's what I would do. The wave format is the best way to go. And that way you've got all the information. There's no compression, none of that stuff. So that you get all the raw audio there. And then you can go and play with it all you want to. Copy it and play with it. Mm-hmm. That's what I recommend. But the DR05 is like, right now it's less than $100 for one, and you get the same sound quality you get with the Zoom 4N. So, you can't beat it for price. And I've dropped a DR05 from 3 floors up down a stairwell, and it hit the ground. The only thing that happened was the battery cover shattered, and nice. But it was still working.
Oh, that's great.
So it's amazing.
Yeah. So I have a question for you that I actually found my list of questions from last week that I meant to ask you guys. It's kind of a two-part, and they can be related, but they could be completely different depending on how you look at it. The first one is there an experiment that you've had a theory on that you want to pursue that you guys haven't? And if you could create any device or research equipment to investigate it, what would you develop?
I would like, I'm a chemist, so I would like to investigate phantom smells. Mm-hmm. And I've devised a way to do this, but it would be, basically a stainless steel cylinder about this big. And you evacuate it and seal it, and then you just carry it around with you. And when you smell something, you just open it up and it sucks the air in, right? Mm-hmm. And then I would take that, but I'd have to send that off to get it analyzed.
Right. I
don't want to do that because that's usually $500 a pop on a gas chromatography mass spectrometry setup. I think that I'd like to have a portable device. You could get sniffers and portable gas chromatographs. But rarely do you find one that you could carry around that's got a mass spectrometer on it that'll read everything that we need it to do. Mm. That's what I want to do. I would love to do that. But that's,
when you invent that, let me know. We need one.
Yeah.
I would like one too.
For our experiments.
Yeah, we definitely want to do that. I mean, that's one of the things that we always run into phantom smells. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, phantom smell sent us down another rabbit hole. At another location. We were at the same location where Aaron got touched. We were smelling cigars.
Oh, wow.
Throughout the whole house. And nobody could figure out where it was coming from. And so we started, when Aaron got touched, we started going down the rabbit hole trying to figure out, what was actually touching Aaron. Was it a person? Was it an entity? What was going on? So, anyway, that's the phantom smell thing is near and dear to my heart. Yep. And I would love to get involved in that line of experimentation.
There's a place I need to take you out in Goldfield. We were investigating there. We spent the night in the home it was the old miner's home.
Uh-huh.
And in the middle of the night, the investigator and I woke up because the rest of the owner's family was staying with us. So we were kind of worried for them. And it smelled like the house was on fire.
Oh no.
We searched
wow.
everywhere for the house for, thinking, oh my God, their house is on fire and we're out here, staying with them. Nothing was on fire. Found out it happens randomly in the middle of the night. And the house that was on that property had burned down, and there had been 3 other fires at the mine's property in the past. And it was just like, we couldn't figure, and it lasted a while, and we thought it was burning down. It was so strong.
Wow.
Well, there's 2 things that if I'm able to analyze, chemically the air that we smelled the smell in, and we don't pick up anything, that kind of points us in the direction that maybe there's an stronger enough electromagnetic field that's affecting us up here, or something like that. If we do pick up something, that's going to point us a totally different direction.
Yep.
Yeah. So then we got to buy more equipment and do more stuff, and that's just the name of the game in science. It's evergreen, and that's what a lot of people don't understand about science too. It's not one and done. It's evergreen. It's ever changing. When more information comes in, the conclusion changes.
Yep.
So that's just what it is. And I apologize. My voice is starting to drop.
Yeah.
In tone because
that's no problem. They're kind of quiet in the comments. So whenever your voice gives out, let us know. We can let you go.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll answer any of the questions that you have about stuff.
I think I had one more from last week if I can find it.
Okay. Back on the Einstein-Rosenbridge thing, some of the stuff that we're looking at around that is also possibly opening up other lines of experimentation, not related to that at all. So it's real interesting how things go when you run experiments like this, especially really heavily involved experiments like what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. I have a question. You mentioned it again. How do you test the Einstein-Rosenbridge theory without rockets? Is there a way?
Well, that's like I said, you got to find, you expect certain environmental things to happen. And if you can find all of those things, or at least 90% of them, then you might be able to say, well, maybe this is the case. Like I said, though, the clincher for this, we have the EMP, we have the radiation, we have, the change in the geomagnetic field, we have, all this stuff. But we haven't been able to measure gravity properly. So if we could measure a gravitational change around one of these events, then that would be the clincher. But we haven't been able to do that yet. So we can't say for sure that's what it is. This is a theory, and we're testing a theory.
Right.
All of this is theoretical. So, but we got to test it somehow.
You got to roll Alan around on that scale, I tell you.
Yeah, we're going to push him around on that scale. Come on, Alan, get on this car.
So should we all carry a scale with us? I guess we should all carry a scale with us to investigations, and
there you go.
Your person to weigh, and okay, we're feeling something. Get back on the scale and let's do it.
Yeah, there you go.
So the last few questions I have is, do you guys have any plans? I know this goes along the lines of human testing, and it's probably not something you guys will do right away just because of all the logistics on it, but anything in human consciousness or the survival of it or near-death experiences?
Right now, there are some very smart people already doing this research, especially at the University of Virginia. I'm looking at Carol's comment again.
Yeah, I can get you the link. I have it pulled up.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I just don't know too much about it, but there are a lot of smart people studying about after death consciousness survival. SPR is already looking into it. Ryan is looking into it, and the Vision Perceptual Studies is looking into it. So there's some really smart people. So we're going to go a route that they typically don't go. Right now, and that way we're not stepping on toes and we're not tripping over each other, that kind of stuff too. So but yeah, I might have to look at that soul phone then, because that is fascinating to me. But yeah, the the survival, the consciousness survival thing. I think I've seen this before a while back, but I couldn't do anything about it. Wow. Okay. I'll have to look further into this. I'm not sure what to make of it just by looking at the website, but yeah, I understand that. A lot of these folks this is an independent project. It isn't really a UVA project, but I still think though that there's some high-powered people working on it. So I'll be interested to see about the research. So I'll probably spend some more time on this later. So thanks for the link. And I can't say that this, that any of the data that we have, would indicate that there might be an intelligent entity out there trying to communicate with us. I can't say that. All I can say is that, we're getting some real interesting stuff and some weird environmental anomalies that seem to point a certain direction. Mm-hmm. So even the voices we hear, we can't, we'll have them on recordings, but they're actual audible sounds too. They're not EVPs, nothing like that. There's no transcommunication stuff involved in the voices we have and we have audio of. And it's like not just one recorder. It's being picked up by multiple recorders, or we've heard it with our own ears and it got picked up with recorders. Even if we haven't heard it, 9 times out of 10, we can look at another recorder in the room and say, oh, well, it's been picked up over here too. So it's definitely not manipulating the device per se. Mm-hmm. So, but there's a lot to that. There's a lot more research that needs to be done around that. People have been doing research on that for a long time, but I don't think that I think there's a little bit of a belief structure there that needs to be broken. And then just start from scratch, just start collecting data and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. If you move.
Yeah, sure, I can move. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we're talking.
I got up because he almost took down my curtains a few minutes ago.
Oh yeah. No.
Oops.
Well, if there's...
No, I think we got everybody in the
chat there.
Oh, did we catch this one or did we miss it?
I think we missed that one. Is there any apps or equipment you'd recommend? Apps, absolutely not. That's just my personal opinion. REM pods
are no good. No bueno.
I don't like REM pods.
Well, let me tell you.
I know some people do, but...
Well, a lot of the off-the-shelf equipment operates on manipulation of an electromagnetic field. Mm-hmm. That's just what it does. And that off-the-shelf ghost hunting equipment, REM pods included. That dead ringer bell thing, all those things operate off of that. And when those things that can be interfered with so many different things, there is absolutely no way you could positively say that what just happened with that REM pod was caused by anything spiritual. There's no way you could say it because it can be interfered with so many different things. Mm-hmm. So I don't recommend any of the off-the-shelf stuff. What you need to do in regards to equipment, though, is, you have a theory. And if you have the theory, then what you do is you say, well, I'll have to design an experiment to try either prove or disprove this theory. And then what you do is if you have to collect data in this experiment, you only buy the equipment. You only get the equipment you need to collect the data for the experiment. Don't just get stuff to be throwing stuff out there, because a shotgun approach would do nothing but bias your conclusions. And you don't want to do that. So just try something like that. And that's what I would recommend. And that way it's also a lot less expensive.
Yeah. I used to think REM pods were awesome. And then when I learned what could interfere with them, how they worked, I went, maybe not so much.
That's why we know when we collect magnetic field data, we're using a magnetometer that can discern between RF and
Yeah,
electrical
good.
fields that are man-made, that kind of stuff. So we can figure. It helps us out a lot to be able to
Yep.
differentiate between all those. And Carol's got another thing on here. Who are all these weird ghostly voices coming through Vox? If you're referring to like a ghost box, a ghost box is another piece of equipment. It's, while fun and annoying, it is a lot of times picking up radio transmissions as it scans through radio device, different things, and those radio transmissions could be from anywhere, anything. I mean, a police car could be driving down the road and key the mic, it could come across that thing. It depends on what the frequencies it's scanning, how powerful the radio signal is that comes across. We actually have an instance where we have an AM radio station at St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia. There's an AM radio station that's blasting out like 50,000 watts up on a hillside there, and transmitting all over the county, and that comes across sometimes.
Oh wow!
So the ghost box thing there is a lot more work that needs to be done on the theory behind the ghost box.
It's fun. Yeah,
it's fun.
It's fun, but just know that you can't prove that it's a spirit.
Yeah, that's right. And we can't use it for research either, research tool for anything, unless we were conducting research just on the ghost box. The Frank's box, which is what started all that, the Frank's box was actually better than what we currently have, because you could focus on a single frequency at a time and just spend time on that one frequency and stuff. And that right there is it would go. I mean, it's leaps and bounds better, because you can gather a lot of data on one frequency and be able to tell and be able to isolate that frequency away from everything else. One thing that we do have done in the past is we've had a frequency analyzer, and that way we could tell if something came across. And actually, we've had radio frequencies come across our recorders too, because they've been hooked to a very long cable that basically acted as an antenna. And so we've had AM radio or FM radio, actually AM radio, come across those things, and shortwave radio too, ham radio stuff. And that stuff has come across, and but the spectrum analyzer was able to notch out what frequencies those were on, so we could tell if something came across and it wasn't on those frequencies, it was something that was significant that we needed to look at. So I will tell you, though, that a frequency analyzer like that is not cheap. So I'm not going to tell you where we got this one. It was.
Did it fall off the truck?
It was borrowed. But yeah, it was definitely, it helped out a lot, especially out around someplace like St. Albans Sanatorium.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions out there?
Nope, they're getting quiet. They must be getting tired.
Yes, I understand, because I'm approaching that point too.
No problem. But thank you for coming on. Great presentation, as always. Looking forward to having you on later this year. I'll definitely reach out and we'll get the whole gang back on again for another panel discussion before we close out the year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Yeah, we can do that. No worries.
And then also send me a message tomorrow or the next couple of days with all of the information to contact, so I can make sure I get that updated on our Facebook page so people know how to get a hold of you guys.
Sure. I can do that too.
I think I have it all, but I just want to make sure I have it all.
Okay.
Okay. And anything you want to mention or bring up before we let you go?
Just, as I always say, wait a minute, some joker carries breaks out a walkie-talkie. Yeah, that's true. I as I always say, follow the data.
Yeah.
Even if you're just wanting an experience, follow the information that's coming in. Don't bias it by assuming it's something. Just go ahead and follow it, no matter where it leads.
Perfect. And then one quick question: did your analyzer cover VLF?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else, Tiffany, before we head on out?
No, I think that's it.
Okay,
Fantastic conversation. Thank you for bringing all of that information to us.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Thank you. And we'll definitely be in touch because I have, like I said, I have a couple of theories that I like to run by you, and I always love your input whenever I run something around you and see what you have to say.
Sure.
Okay, perfect.
Sure thing.
Okay,
Well,
so
thanks
coming
again
up
for having me.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Coming up Sunday, we're hoping to have our paranormal chit chat, but we may push it back a week. I will let everybody know on our Facebook page, and then mark your calendars because next week we have David Oman on the Oman House to just discuss all the things that he's been happening ever since I had him on the show a couple years ago, and talking to him, he's had a lot happen since. It's amazing what happens in that home.
I'm so excited to talk.
I would love to get in there and just sit there and listen.
Yeah.
And see what's going on. Yeah, let CPRI's equipment analyze everything and see what you guys.
I know, that would be fantastic.
But thank you, Brad, again. It was great, and we will see you next week. Y'all have a great night.
Good night, guys. Bye.